This story that seemed impossible actually happened to me. I was so shocked when it happened. Let me tell you about it. Come along with me as we begin. My name is Eva. I am a single mother living in a quiet suburb outside Philadelphia. I have a 4-year-old daughter named Lily. She is the light of my entire world. I always believed that family meant everything. I thought my parents loved us both. But on Lily's 4th birthday, everything I believed shattered into pieces. That night, my baby girl cried herself to sleep, asking me why Grandma and Grandpa did not love her. I had no answer. Before we dive into this story, let me know in the comments where you are watching from today. If you have ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. This story is for you. Stay with me. Growing up in our family, I learned very early that love was not distributed equally. I was the firstborn, arriving when my parents, Barbara and Richard, were still young and struggling financially. They lived in a cramped apartment and worked multiple jobs just to keep food on the table. 4 years later, my brother Derek came into the world. By then, everything had changed. My father had received a promotion. They bought a house in a nicer neighborhood. Money was no longer tight. From my earliest memories, I noticed the differences. Derek always had the newest toys. His clothes came from department stores with tags still attached. Mine were hand-me-downs from cousins or items found at garage sales. I remember asking my mother once why Derek got a brand new bicycle for his 8th birthday, while I received a used one with rust on the handlebars for mine. Barbara looked at me with tired eyes and said, "You are the older one. You should understand. We expect more maturity from you." I learned to stop asking questions. As the years passed, the gap between us only widened. Derek never had to do chores. He never had to work summer jobs. When he wanted something, he got it. I watched from the sidelines, telling myself that maybe I just needed to work harder to earn my parents' approval. I convinced myself that if I was good enough, smart enough, successful enough, they would finally see me the way they saw him. When it came time for college, I applied for every scholarship I could find. I worked part-time at a grocery store, stocking shelves until midnight and then waking up at 6 to attend classes. I paid my own tuition, bought my own books, and lived in the cheapest apartment I could afford. Meanwhile, Derek went to a private university. My parents paid for everything: his tuition, his dorm room, a brand new car so he would not have to walk across campus in the rain. When I asked my mother why the treatment was so different, she sighed and said, "Derek is more sensitive than you. He needs more support. You have always been so independent, Eva. You do not need us the same way he does." I stopped asking questions after that. At 28, I met a man I thought was the love of my life. We got married in a small ceremony. My parents attended but sat in the back row. They did not offer to help with any expenses. They did not make a toast. At Derek's wedding 2 years later, they rented out an entire country club. They paid for everything from the flowers to the honeymoon. I was not asked to give a speech. I was seated at a table near the kitchen, far from the family. But I convinced myself it did not matter. I had my own life now. I had a husband who loved me, and soon I had the most precious gift of all, my daughter, Lily. She was born on a spring morning, all pink cheeks and tiny fingers. I held her in my arms and promised her that she would always know she was loved, that she would never feel invisible, that she would never have to wonder if she was enough. But 6 months later, my husband left. He said he was not ready to be a father. He said he needed to find himself. He walked out the door and never looked back. I was devastated. I called my mother, hoping for comfort, for support, for anything. Instead, Barbara said, "Well, you probably drove him away. You always were too demanding." I hung up the phone and cried for 3 days straight. But then I looked at Lily, my beautiful baby girl with her wide, curious eyes, and I decided that I would not break. I would not give up. I would build a life for us, even if I had to do it completely alone. And I did. I went back to work. I found a good daycare. I moved into a small but cozy house. I created a world where Lily could grow up feeling safe and cherished. We did not have much, but we had each other, and I thought that was enough. Meanwhile, Derek married Megan. She came from a middle-class family but had expensive tastes. She loved designer handbags and luxury vacations. More importantly, she knew exactly how to charm my mother. She complimented Barbara's cooking. She asked for recipes. She brought flowers on every visit. My mother adored her from the moment they met. They had a son named Brandon, and from the day he was born, it was clear that he was the golden grandchild. Barbara and Richard doted on him completely. They bought him the most expensive toys. They showed up at every school event. They posted hundreds of photos on social media, captioning them with phrases like, "Our precious angel," and "the light of our lives." I tried not to compare. I tried to focus on my own life, my own daughter. But when Brandon turned 5, my parents threw him a party that looked like something from a celebrity magazine. They rented out a section of a local amusement park. There were performers and catered food and a mountain of presents. I watched my parents lavish attention on him, hugging him constantly, taking endless photographs. And I wondered, would Lily ever experience that same love? 3 months before Lily's 4th birthday, she started talking about it constantly. Every morning, she would run to the calendar we had hung on her bedroom wall and ask me how many more days until her special day. I taught her to count the squares. She would point to each one, her little finger tracing the path toward the date circled in pink marker. "Mommy, can I have a princess cake?" she asked one evening while I was making dinner. I smiled at her. "What kind of princess?" "A castle princess, with pink frosting and sparkles." I did not have much money. Between rent and daycare and groceries, there was barely anything left at the end of each month. But I had been setting aside a little bit from every paycheck for 3 months. $20 here, $15 there, enough to give my daughter a birthday she would remember. I found a bakery that could make a castle cake within my budget. It would have 3 tiers, pink frosting, and edible glitter. When I showed Lily a picture on my phone, she squealed with delight. "That one, Mommy! I want that one!" I ordered it immediately. In the weeks leading up to the party, Lily drew pictures almost every day. She drew herself in a princess dress, she drew balloons and presents and a big cake with candles. And in almost every drawing, she included the same figures: Grandma and Grandpa, Uncle Derek, Aunt Megan, Cousin Brandon. She drew us all together, a big, happy family celebrating her special day. I hung those drawings on the refrigerator and tried not to think about whether reality would match her imagination. I decorated the house myself. Pink and purple streamers hung from the ceiling, balloons clustered in every corner. I bought a banner that said "Happy Birthday, Princess" and strung it across the living room. It was not as elaborate as Brandon's amusement park party, but it was filled with love. I invited a few of Lily's friends from the neighborhood. I invited Marcus, my friend from college, and his daughter Grace, who was Lily's best friend. And of course, I invited my parents and Derek's family. 1 week before the party, I called my mother. "Hi, Mom. I just wanted to confirm that you and Dad are coming to Lily's birthday party next Saturday." There was a pause on the other end of the line. I could hear the television playing in the background. "Next Saturday?" Barbara said slowly. "Oh, right. Lily's birthday. Yes, she has been so excited. She talks about seeing you and Dad every single day." "Well, we will try to come, but you know how busy we are." My stomach tightened. "Try to come? Mom, she is your granddaughter. She is turning 4. I know. We will see. Your father has been tired lately, and Derek mentioned something about bringing Brandon over that weekend. Brandon can come to the party too. That is the whole point, the whole family together." Barbara sighed. "Fine, Eva, we will be there." She hung up without saying goodbye. I stood in my kitchen, phone still pressed to my ear, and tried to convince myself that everything would be fine, that my mother was just distracted, that they would show up and bring presents and make Lily feel special. But deep down, I already knew something was wrong. I could not stop thinking about Brandon's 5th birthday just 2 months earlier. My parents had been there from morning until night. They had presented him with gift after gift: a remote control car, video games, books, art supplies, and the centerpiece of it all, an expensive tablet, the kind that costs more than my entire monthly grocery budget. Brandon had run around showing everyone, and my parents had beamed with pride. Surely they would do the same for Lily. She was their granddaughter too. She deserved the same love. I kept telling myself that, but the doubt would not go away. The morning of Lily's birthday, she woke up before the sun. I heard her tiny feet padding down the hallway, and then she burst into my room with a smile brighter than any sunrise. "Mommy, Mommy, it is my birthday!" I pulled her onto the bed and wrapped her in a hug. Happy birthday, my sweet girl. She bounced up and down on the mattress. Is Grandma coming? Is Grandpa coming? Are there presents? Yes, baby, everyone is coming. It is going to be a wonderful day. I helped her into the special dress I had bought for the occasion. It was pink, of course, with tulle layers that made her look like a tiny princess. She twirled in front of the mirror, watching the skirt flare out around her. I am so pretty, she announced. You are beautiful, I told her. The most beautiful birthday girl in the whole world. We spent the morning preparing together. Lily helped me arrange the cups and plates on the table. She sorted the party favors into little bags. She pointed at the banner and read the words aloud, sounding them out carefully. Happy birthday, princess. By noon, the house looked perfect, pink and purple everywhere. The castle cake sat in the center of the table, exactly as magical as the picture had promised. Balloons bobbed gently near the ceiling. Everything was ready. Marcus arrived first with Grace. The two girls ran off immediately, giggling and chasing each other through the house. Marcus handed me a brightly wrapped present and a bouquet of flowers. How are you holding up? He asked quietly. Nervous, I admitted. I just want everything to go well for her. It will. She is surrounded by people who love her. The other children from the neighborhood arrived next. Their parents brought presents and smiled and told me how beautiful the decorations looked. The house filled with laughter and noise. Lily was radiant, the center of attention, exactly as she should be on her special day. But she kept looking toward the door. When is Grandma coming? She asked me for the third time in an hour. Soon, baby. They will be here soon. I tried calling my mother. No answer. I tried my father. Same result. My messages went unanswered. Derek, Megan, and Brandon arrived 45 minutes late. They walked through the door without apology. Derek nodded at me briefly, his eyes already fixed on his phone screen. Megan looked around the room with an expression that suggested she found everything slightly beneath her standards. We came straight from another event, she said flatly. We did not have time to get a gift. I stared at her. You did not bring anything for Lily? We have been so busy. You understand. I did not understand. But before I could respond, Brandon pushed past me and ran toward the cake. I want cake, now, he demanded. Megan did not correct him. Derek did not look up from his phone. I turned away and went to find Lily. She was standing by the window, her nose pressed against the glass. Mommy, Grandma is not here yet. She will come, sweetheart. Be patient. Another hour passed. The children played games, they ate snacks, but the party felt incomplete. 2 chairs remained empty at the table I had set aside for my parents. Finally, just as I was about to give up hope, a car pulled into the driveway. My parents got out slowly. My father stretched his back. My mother adjusted her purse on her shoulder. They walked toward the house, empty-handed. No gift, no card, no wrapped present, nothing. I watched them approach and I felt my heart begin to sink. Lily had seen them too. She let out a shriek of joy and ran toward the door. She flung it open and threw herself at her grandmother, wrapping her little arms around Barbara's legs. Grandma, you came! You came! Barbara patted Lily's head briefly, the way someone might pat a friendly but unimportant dog. Then she gently pushed Lily away. Yes, we are here. Richard was already walking past them both, looking for a chair. Lily did not seem to notice the coldness. She was too happy that they had come at all. She grabbed Barbara's hand and tried to pull her toward the cake. Come see my cake, Grandma. It is a castle. Maybe later, Barbara said. I need to sit down. We had a long drive. The drive from their house was 20 minutes. I watched Lily's face fall just slightly, but she recovered quickly, her smile returning. She still believed. She still trusted that this day would be magical. I wished I could believe it too. The time came to blow out the candles. I lit 4 tiny flames on top of the castle cake and everyone gathered around. Lily sat in her special chair, eyes wide with wonder. The other children sang, "Happy birthday!" Marcus sang loudly and off-key on purpose, making Grace giggle. Even Derek looked up from his phone for a moment. Lily closed her eyes tight, making her wish. Then she blew with all her might. The candles flickered and went out. Everyone clapped. I cut the cake and handed out slices. The children devoured the pink frosting with sticky fingers. Lily ate hers slowly, savoring every bite. She kept looking over at her grandparents, waiting for something. After the cake was finished, Lily slipped off her chair. She walked over to where Barbara and Richard were sitting. They had not mingled with anyone. They had not taken photographs. They had sat in their chairs like guests who had somewhere better to be. Lily stood in front of her grandmother. Her voice was small but clear. "Grandma, where is my birthday present?" The room did not go silent. The other children were still playing. Marcus was helping clean up spilled juice. But I heard my daughter's question as if she had shouted it through a megaphone. Barbara looked down at Lily. Her expression did not change. "Oh, we forgot." Lily blinked. "You forgot?" "We have been very busy," Barbara continued. "We just did not have time." Richard said nothing. He looked at the wall. Lily's bottom lip began to tremble. "But it is my birthday." "Children should not be so focused on presents anyway," Barbara said. "That is greedy. We are here. That should be enough." I started walking toward them, my heart pounding, my hands clenching into fists at my sides. But before I could get there, Barbara reached into her large purse. She pulled out a beautifully wrapped box with a shiny silver bow. "Brandon, sweetheart, come here." Brandon ran over immediately. Barbara smiled at him, her entire face transforming into warmth and love. "Grandma brought you something special." She handed him the box. Brandon tore it open with greedy hands. Inside was a brand new tablet, the latest model, the same kind I had seen advertised for over $400. "Yes!" Brandon shouted. "This is the one I wanted!" He threw his arms around Barbara. She hugged him back tightly, laughing. "Anything for our special boy." I looked at Lily. She was standing exactly where she had been. Her princess dress suddenly looked smaller, sadder. Her eyes were fixed on Brandon and the shiny new toy in his hands. Her lips were pressed together, but I could see them quivering. Megan walked over with a triumphant smile. She put her arm around Brandon. "What do you say, honey?" "Thanks, Grandma. This is awesome." Barbara beamed. "You deserve it, sweetheart." Lily took one step backward, then another. I reached her just as the first tear spilled down her cheek. I knelt down and pulled her into my arms. She buried her face against my shoulder. Her small body shook with silent sobs. "Mommy," she whispered. "Why do they not love me?" I could not answer. I could not speak. My throat had closed completely. I just held her, my baby girl, on her 4th birthday in the middle of her own party, crying because her grandparents had shown her exactly where she ranked in their hearts. When I finally looked up, I caught Barbara's eye. I stood, keeping Lily pressed against me. "Can I talk to you in the kitchen?" I said. My voice was steady but barely above a whisper. Barbara rolled her eyes but followed me. In the kitchen, away from the children, I faced my mother. "How could you do this?" I demanded. "It is her birthday. She has been talking about today for months. She drew pictures of you and Dad. She counted down the days. And you come here with nothing for her, but you bring an expensive tablet for Brandon?" Barbara's expression hardened. "Brandon is our grandson too. We can give gifts to whomever we want, whenever we want. You said you forgot about Lily. You clearly did not forget about Brandon." "That is different." "How? How is it different?" Barbara stepped closer to me. Her voice dropped to a cold hiss. "Lily will forget about this by tomorrow. She is 4 years old. She will not remember any of this. Stop being so dramatic, Eva. You always were too sensitive." "She is crying right now, on her birthday, because of you." "She will get over it. Children are resilient." I stared at my mother, this woman who had raised me, this woman whose approval I had spent my entire life chasing, and I realized, perhaps for the first time, that I would never be enough for her, that Lily would never be enough for her. "Get out," I said quietly. Barbara blinked. "Excuse me?" "Get out of my house. Take Dad. Take Derek and Megan and Brandon. Leave." "You cannot be serious." "I have never been more serious in my life." Barbara's face twisted with anger. "Fine, we will leave. And do not expect us to come running back when you realize what a mistake you have made." She stormed out of the kitchen. I heard her gathering Richard, making a scene about how ungrateful I was. Derek and Megan collected Brandon, who was still clutching his new tablet. They left without saying goodbye to anyone. The door slammed behind them. The house felt very quiet suddenly. I walked back to the living room. Marcus was holding Lily on his lap, Grace sat next to them, patting Lily's hand. Is she okay? Marcus asked. I looked at my daughter. Her eyes were red. Her cheeks were streaked with tears. But she looked up at me with such trust, such hope that I would make everything better. She will be, I said. I will make sure of it. That night, Lily cried for hours. I lay beside her in her small bed, holding her close, rubbing her back, whispering that she was loved, that she was special, that nothing her grandparents did or did not do could change how wonderful she was. But the words felt hollow against the weight of what she had experienced. Mommy, she asked through her tears, did I do something wrong? No, baby, you did nothing wrong. You are perfect. Then why do they not love me like they love Brandon? I did not have an answer. How do you explain adult cruelty to a child who still believes in magic and fairness and the goodness of everyone she meets? Sometimes, I said slowly, people make mistakes. They do things that hurt others, even when they should not. It is not your fault. It is never your fault. Will they bring me a present next time? I swallowed the lump in my throat. I do not know, sweetheart. But I do know that you have so many people who love you. Grace loves you. Mr. Marcus loves you. I love you more than anything in the whole world. She sniffled. I love you too, Mommy. Eventually, she fell asleep. Her breathing evened out. Her grip on my arm loosened. But I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, watching the shadows shift in the darkness. I thought about every time I had excused my parents' behavior. Every time I had convinced myself that things would be different. Every time I had hoped that if I just tried harder, gave more, expected less, they would finally see me the way they saw Derek. I had been a fool, and now my daughter was paying the price for my foolishness. The days that followed were quiet. Lily did not ask to call Grandma. She did not draw pictures of the family anymore. She played with her toys, but the spark in her eyes had dimmed. She stopped asking about the birthday party. She stopped mentioning Brandon or the tablet. It was as if she had locked that day away somewhere deep inside her, too painful to revisit. I tried to compensate. I took her to the park, I bought her ice cream, I read her extra stories at bedtime. But nothing seemed to fully reach her. The wound was too fresh, too deep. A week after the birthday, Marcus came over with pizza and a 6-pack of soda. Grace and Lily played in the living room while Marcus and I sat in the kitchen. How are you holding up? He asked. I am angry, I admitted. Angrier than I have ever been in my life. You have every right to be. But mostly, I am sad. For Lily, she did not deserve any of this. No, she did not. Marcus paused. What are you going to do? I do not know. My mother has not called, neither has my father. It is like they do not care at all. Maybe it is time to stop waiting for them to care. Maybe it is time to accept that they never will. His words hit me like a slap, but I knew he was right. I spent my whole life trying to earn their love, I said quietly. I kept thinking if I just did everything right, they would finally see me. But they never did, and they never will. So what does that mean for you now? I looked through the doorway at Lily. She was showing Grace her collection of stuffed animals, smiling for the first time in days. It means I need to protect her, I said. I need to build a life where she never has to feel that way again, even if it means cutting my parents out completely. Marcus nodded. That takes courage. Does it? Or is it just common sense? Both. It is both. 1 month after Lily's birthday, I made a decision. I picked up my phone and called my mother. For the first time in my life, I was not calling to seek approval or reconciliation. I was calling to set a boundary. Barbara answered on the 4th ring. Eva, I wondered when you would come crawling back to apologize. I took a deep breath. I am not calling to apologize. Then why are you calling? I am calling to tell you that what you did at Lily's birthday was unforgivable. You humiliated my daughter. You made her feel worthless. You showed her in the clearest possible way that she does not matter to you. Barbara scoffed. You are being ridiculous. It was just a forgotten present. You are making a mountain out of a molehill. You did not forget, Mom. You brought a $400 tablet for Brandon. You just chose not to bring anything for Lily. That was not forgetting. That was a choice. Brandon is special. He is going to do great things. Derek and Megan are raising him properly. And what does that make Lily? Worthless? Unworthy of your love? I did not say that. You did not have to. Your actions said it for you. There was silence on the other end of the line. Until you can treat my daughter with the same love and respect you show Brandon, I continued, Lily and I will not be visiting. I will not bring her to family gatherings. I will not subject her to your favoritism. You cannot do that. I am her grandmother. You stopped acting like her grandmother the moment you made her cry on her birthday. Barbara's voice turned sharp. How dare you speak to me like this? I am your mother. Yes, you are. And a mother should never make her granddaughter feel unloved. Goodbye, Mom. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. But underneath the fear, I felt something else. Freedom. For the first time in my life, I had stood up to my mother. I had put my daughter first. I had refused to accept crumbs of affection disguised as love. The phone did not ring again. Barbara did not call back. Neither did Richard. And surprisingly, I was okay with that. 2 weeks later, I received an unexpected phone call. It was from Aunt Caroline, my mother's younger sister. We had not spoken in years, but I had always remembered her as the kind one in the family. She had never played favorites. She had always made sure every child at family gatherings got the same amount of attention. Eva, honey, I heard what happened. I was surprised. Who told you? Marcus, actually. I ran into him at the grocery store. He lives in my old neighborhood. We started talking and he mentioned what Barbara did at Lily's party. I was horrified. I felt tears prickle my eyes. It was awful, Aunt Caroline. Lily was devastated. I am so sorry, sweetheart. My sister has always been like this, you know. Even when we were kids, she always had favorites. It was me for a while, then it was not. I know how much it hurts. I just wanted Lily to have a normal birthday. You deserved better parents, Eva, and Lily deserves better grandparents. Listen, I want to help. Why do not you bring Lily to my house this weekend? Let me throw her a proper celebration. You do not have to do that. I want to. Every child deserves to feel special. Please let me do this. I agreed. That Saturday, Lily and I drove to Aunt Caroline's house. It was a beautiful home with a big backyard and a garden full of flowers. Caroline greeted us at the door with warm hugs and homemade cookies. Lily, I have heard so much about you, she said, kneeling down to meet my daughter's eyes. I heard you like princesses. Lily nodded shyly. Well, I happen to have something for a very special princess. She led us inside. On the dining room table sat a wrapped present. Lily looked at me for permission. I nodded. She tore open the wrapping paper to reveal the most beautiful princess dress I had ever seen. It was lavender with silver embroidery, far more elegant than anything I could have afforded. Lily's eyes went wide. Is this for me? It is for you, Caroline said, because you are a true princess. Lily threw her arms around Caroline's neck. Thank you, thank you, thank you! Caroline laughed and hugged her back. You are so welcome, sweetheart. We spent the whole day at her house. Caroline had set up a little tea party in the garden, complete with tiny sandwiches and pretend tea. She had bought a small cake with Lily's name on it. She took photographs and played games and made my daughter feel like the most important person in the world. That night, driving home, Lily said something that broke my heart and healed it at the same time. Mommy, can Aunt Caroline be my grandma now? I glanced at her in the rearview mirror. She was clutching her new dress, her eyes full of hope. You know what, baby? I think she would love that. Lily smiled, a real smile, the kind I had not seen since before her birthday. I love Grandma Caroline, she said. Me too, sweetheart, me too. As the weeks turned into months, Karma began its slow but steady work. Derek's investment venture failed spectacularly. He had poured all his money into a startup that turned out to be fraudulent. Within weeks, he was bankrupt. Megan, who had married him for his financial stability, filed for divorce. She took Brandon and moved across the country to live with her parents. Suddenly, Derek was alone. No wife, no son, no money. He came to me first, of course. He showed up at my door one evening, looking haggard and desperate. Eva, I need help. I have nowhere else to go. I looked at my brother. This man who had ignored me at family gatherings, who had never asked how I was doing as a single mother, who had watched his wife smirk at my daughter's pain and said nothing. I am sorry you are going through this, I said, but I cannot help you. What? Why not? You never helped me when I was struggling. You never stood up for Lily when Mom and Dad treated her like she did not exist. Why should I help you now? Because I am your brother. You were my brother when you watched Lily cry at her birthday party. You were my brother when you did not bring her a single gift. You were my brother when you let Mom give Brandon a tablet right in front of her. Being family does not mean I owe you anything after the way you treated us. Derek's face crumpled. I am sorry, okay? I should have said something. I know that now. Knowing is not the same as doing, and I am not ready to forgive you yet. Maybe someday, but not today. I closed the door. Derek went to our parents next, but Barbara and Richard were struggling too. They had spent so much money on Derek over the years, funding his lifestyle, paying off his debts. They had nothing left to give. For the first time, they were facing the consequences of their choices. A month later, I received a letter. It was from my father. He wrote about how sorry he was, how he had let Barbara control everything and had never stood up for what was right, how he realized now that they had been unfair to me and Lily. He asked if there was any way we could start over. I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer. I was not ready to read it again. 1 year after Lily's birthday, everything had changed. Lily was thriving. She started kindergarten and made friends easily. She talked about Grandma Caroline constantly, and Caroline visited us regularly, always bringing small gifts and endless affection. Grace remained her best friend. Marcus and I grew closer, supporting each other through life's challenges. I received a promotion at work. My hard work had finally been recognized, and I could afford a bigger apartment in a nicer neighborhood. For the first time in years, I was not living paycheck to paycheck. One Sunday afternoon, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find my parents standing on the doorstep. They looked older, smaller somehow. Barbara was holding a wrapped present. Richard was holding a card. "May we come in?" Barbara asked. Her voice was softer than I had ever heard it. I looked at them for a long moment. "Wait here," I said. I went to find Lily. She was playing in her room. "Sweetie, Grandma Barbara and Grandpa Richard are here. They want to see you. Do you want to see them?" Lily thought about it. "Will they be nice?" "I think they are going to try very hard to be nice." "Okay, but only if you stay with me. Always, baby." We walked to the door together. Lily held my hand tightly. Barbara knelt down slowly, her knees creaking. She held out the present. "Lily, I am so sorry about your birthday. I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. I brought you a gift. It is not as special as you deserve, but I hope you will accept it." Lily looked up at me. I nodded. She took the present and opened it carefully. Inside was a beautiful doll with a purple dress. Not as expensive as Brandon's tablet, but clearly chosen with thought and care. "Thank you," Lily said politely. She did not hug Barbara. She did not run into her arms, and that was okay. Barbara stood up, her eyes wet. "I know I cannot undo what I did, but I want to try to be better, if you will let me." I thought about everything that had happened, the years of neglect, the favoritism, the pain my daughter had endured. "I cannot forget what you did," I said slowly, "and I am not ready to fully forgive. But I am willing to see if you can change. If you want to be part of our lives, you have to treat Lily the same way you treat Brandon. No more favoritism, no more comparisons. If you cannot do that, then this door stays closed." Barbara nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I understand. I will do better. I promise." Richard spoke for the first time. "We are both sorry, Eva, for everything. Not just the birthday, for all of it." I looked at my father, this man who had never defended me, who had let his wife's favoritism go unchecked for decades. "We will see," I said. "Time will tell." They left with promises to do better. Whether they will keep those promises remains to be seen. But I have learned something important through all of this. Forgiveness is not a debt I owe to anyone. It is a gift I give to myself, when and if I am ready. My daughter taught me that. Lily is happy now. She has a grandmother who adores her in Caroline. She has a best friend in Grace. She has a mother who will fight for her no matter what. And she has learned at a young age that her worth is not determined by how others treat her. She is valuable simply because she exists, simply because she is Lily. If you are watching this and you have experienced something similar, I want you to know this. You have the power to change your situation. You do not have to accept being treated as less than. You can set boundaries. You can protect yourself and your children. You can build a family out of people who choose to love you fully, not out of obligation. Your children deserve to be loved without conditions, and so do you. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who treated you unfairly? Have you experienced favoritism from your own parents or in-laws? Share your story in the comments below. Let us support each other. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button. It helps more people find this channel and hear stories like mine. And if you have not already, please subscribe. I share new stories every week about real people overcoming real challenges. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. You never know whose life you might change by sharing a story of hope and resilience. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being part of this community. I am sending you all my love and my hope that you find the strength to protect your heart and the hearts of those you love. Take care of yourselves. And remember, you are worthy of love, no matter what anyone else tries to tell you. Until next time.